Welcome to the Sharp Edge, your source for sports betting conversation, information, and analysis. I know that summer is winding down and football season's almost here. Trust me, I can't wait for it either. But baseball action is heating up, especially after the trade deadline. We get to see the cream rise to the top now, and it's easier to figure out who we should place our money on when postseason time comes around. The non-waiver trade deadline was this past week, and a lot of the teams that are making postseason pushes bettered their roster with these acquisitions. Let's take a look at who the top teams acquired. In the American League East, the Yankees acquired some arms. J. Happ, Lance Lynn, and of course Zack, the closer from the Baltimore Orioles. And this makes them a dangerous team come September and October, much like they were last year when they took that wild card and ran all the way to Game 7 of the American League Championship Series. Now they have a four-headed monster in the back end of their bullpen. Robertson, Betances, Britton, and Chapman. And what Lance Lynn provides for them is an extra arm that they could go to out of the bullpen, but also use as a spot starter if they want to give someone like Luis Severino a couple of days off. Chris Sale can also afford to take a couple of days off now because the Red Sox get Nathan Eovaldi from the Rays. This guy's a flamethrower, and he has experience pitching in the big market when he was with the Yankees. I think he'll be very good for the Red Sox down the stretch. The Red Sox also get Ian Kinsler, who provides them a better option at second base because Dustin Pedroia, he's not coming back anytime soon. The LA Dodgers were the most impressive team to me in terms of additions because their lineup is now absolutely stacked. Not only do they get Manny Machado to play shortstop or third base while Justin Turner's out, they bring in Brian Dozier to play second base. And Dozier, he's a guy that can easily hit 35 home runs along with Machado. There's no easy outs in that lineup, whether it's Muncy, Machado, Dozier, Turner, you want to go to Peterson or Bellinger. Who are you pitching around in that lineup? The Dodgers immediately jump out to me as a favorite to win the World Series, but we'll get to those odds coming up in a little bit. The Braves, of course, they bettered themselves with the arms, getting Kevin Gausman and Brad Brock from the Orioles, but Adam Duvall gives them depth in the outfield and another bat to pair up with Freddie Freeman to improve their offense. The Milwaukee Brewers, speaking of offense, not only did they bring in Mike Moustakas to play third base, moving Travis Shaw to second base, but Jonathan Scope from the Orioles is one of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball. He's going to play shortstop probably, maybe even some second base if Shaw can play shortstop. And now the Milwaukee Brewers lineup with Aguilar and Kane and Yelich is right up there with the Dodgers as the top in the National League. Of course, the Cubs bringing in Cole Hamels provides them some depth in the rotation. And of course, the Phillies acquiring all-star catcher Wilson Ramos, even though he's out now, gives them a solid backstop to help them push for the National League East crown. Let's take a look at the latest Vegas odds to win these divisions, and we'll start in the American League East. Now that the trade deadline is over and we know who the Yankees and Red Sox acquired, I know there can still be waiver deals done in August, but let's just go with who they have right now. I think the Yankees back into the bullpen, with the addition of Zack, is going to be the difference in them making up this deficit against the Red Sox and winning the American League East. The smart money should be on the Yankees because you get a better payout. Besides, no one wants to bet the favorite. Come on. In the American League West, it's a three-team race. The Astros clearly the favorite, and they're the best team. But the Mariners and A's are playing an exciting brand of baseball. And I think that there could be a dark horse in this division. The Mariners, they've been floating around, but watch out for the Oakland A's. I love what Chris Davis is doing, hitting the ball out of the ballpark. The acquisition of Jerry's Familia from the New York Mets makes their back end of the bullpen as dominant as anybody in the American League. I think the Oakland A's can sneak up and give the Astros fits in terms of winning the division. Now, I'd probably lean towards the Astros to win the division, but you get great odds if you bet the Oakland A's. And watch out for the Oakland A's to claim that second wild card in the American League. In the NL East, I like the Phillies. Aaron Nola is pitching like a Cy Young Award winner, and he very well could win it this year. It's him and Max Scherzer in the National League and Jacob deGrom of the Mets, but the dude doesn't get any wins. The Braves, we know what they've done acquiring the arms. We know how talented their offense is. The Nationals, to me, the ultimate question mark. We don't know how they're going to play down the stretch because no one expected them to play like they've played so far this season. So can I sit here and say, or stand here and say that Bryce Harper is not going to bat 400 the rest of the way? That Trey Turner is not going to get on base at a 600 clip the rest of the way? No, I can't say that, but they might. And so I would kind of hesitate to go for anybody in this division. I think this is one where you stay away and you just enjoy the ride. Now, here in the NL Central, I told you how much I love the Brewers and what they did at the deadline. And I think this could be their year to overtake the Cubs. And the Cubs, we know their pedigree, we know how good they are, but look at the value you get on betting the Milwaukee Brewers. I can't shy away from that. The two teams are even pretty much right now. I'd go with Milwaukee. Now, even though the Dodgers might be in third place, second place, first place, who knows? Every day it changes in the National League West. Their lineup is just too good to ignore. The Diamondbacks bringing in Brad Ziegler in the back end of their bullpen, a guy who's familiar pitching for them in the past, also getting Jake Diekman from the Rangers. Those are really good acquisitions. And while the Dodgers, yeah, they brought in Axford, but they didn't really address the bullpen concerns, they're just telling you they're going to hit better than you. They're going to slug their way to the NL West crown. I'm going with the Dodgers. Now, what about the odds to win the World Series? That's where things get a little different because clearly the favorites are at the top, but do you want to bet the favorites? You want to maximize your winnings and get good value. Let's take a look at those odds. Ones that jump out to me right away, the New York Yankees at 6-1. We talk about the back end of their bullpen. Their lineup is going to get Aaron Judge back. They're going to get Gary Sanchez back. They're going to be a tough out no matter who they play. And even if their starting pitching isn't great, like we've seen last year, Luis Severino got bombed for 3 runs in the first inning of the wild card game, and they still went to Game 7 of the American League Championship Series. So I can't get away from the New York Yankees. I think they're good value at 6-1. But if you want to talk about really good value, look at the Cleveland Indians. Now, if you're asking me right now, do I think the Indians are going to win the World Series? I'm going to tell you no. But at 14-1, here's where you get the value. They're the only team at the top of that list or in the middle of that list that is guaranteed to get a home series in the division round. You know they're not losing the American League Central, so they're not playing in a wild card game, and they're going to be home for the first round of the postseason. So you get great value by betting the Indians at 14-1. Now, there was a huge sports betting story this week as the NBA became the first U.S. professional sports league to join forces with a sports book as they signed an agreement with the MGM. Let's bring in our guest, Brett Smiley from SportsHandle.com. Brett, why was this relationship so important for the NBA?
I don't think it's so important. It's definitely important symbolically because no pro sports league, nor the NBA, obviously, has ever been in this type of commercial relationship with a gaming entity. And this deal specifically pertains to sports betting. Now, keep in mind, we're only 3 months removed from the federal ban on sports wagering outside Nevada. The NBA has definitely been at the forefront of this. Adam Silver was an advocate for legal regulated sports betting, but at a time when there's a lot of lobbying going on and jostling, for them to strike such a deal symbolically. Practically, I don't think it's going to have much of an impact on sports bettors or on some of the other major gaming entities. But the fact that we now have a pro sports league in a business relationship with a sports betting operator, that is definitely significant.
So what does the league get out of this partnership?
The NBA is getting so-called official data. They are getting some marketing benefits. The official data, that's just, the NBA, they have third party who collects all this data. Internationally it's Sport Radar, but basically it's just what the sports books use to grade wagers. And the NBA is trying to sell this data to other operators, and they're also at the same time trying to have lawmakers in a variety of state legislate or mandate that they have to purchase this data. I mean, we're talking about data, but really all it is Steph Curry hit it was 5 out of 8 or whatever. Maybe you had a prop on that or on scoring or anything. It's public domain information. But more importantly, I think this is more of a marketing deal. By contract standards, it's not much. It was reported by Darren Rovell, 3 years, $25 million, which is pennies for the NBA. But what MGM is getting, there might be some signage involved. They can use NBA logos, I think, on their odds boards. Whether in the minds of bettors that legitimizes them more and makes them a more desirable sports book, I guess we'll find out. And maybe there'll be some mentions on some broadcasts. So typical advertising. marketing. They're the official whatever in the same way that I think Bud Light is the official beer sponsor for the NFL.
Brett, where are the other leagues in terms of a partnership with a sportsbook? How far along is Major League Baseball or the NHL or the NFL?
They're all at different stages, and I think kind of figuring out as it goes. The NBA to this point has been lobbying kind of in lockstep with the MLB. They've been going to every state together. Rob Manfred is still he's kind of still stuck on the idea that all these operators owe the leagues for their intellectual property. They're creating the games, therefore the operators should owe them a cut. At the same time, I'm fairly certain that they're exploring similar types of deals. Seeing how much they can extract from which operators. The NHL, I mean, they're a bit behind. NFL has they've long been saying sports betting compromises the integrity of the game. So it's definitely no surprise that the NBA was first, but I think we should absolutely expect similar deals coming from one of the other pro sports leagues soon.
Brett Smiley, sportshandle.com, all the latest on legalized sports betting. Thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of The Sharp Edge. Football season's just around the corner, preseason is beginning, and we're going to be with you every step of the way for all your latest sports betting information, conversation, and analysis. This has been The Sharp Edge, brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly.